abandoned ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition. Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod. I'm your host, Josh, and we have your crew of the podcast of the in tonight in the Escape Pod, and we will introduce everybody or reintroduce everybody to you at home in just a moment here. But tonight we are talking all about The Force Awakens, and we're playing Bogan's Advocate. So for those of you who have maybe not tuned into the podcast before, we'll explain Bogan's Advocate in a moment. But prepare yourself, and thank you again for tuning in. So let's get started.
Another happy landing.
All right, there we go.
You're ruled with fear. You also did not listen to Star Wars Escape Pod. If you know what's good for you, tune in, subscribe, share this show with a partner in crime, and leave a good review.
All right, well, welcome back, Blake.
Hey, good to be here. We're starting with an ad
Yeah,
about listening to ourselves.
that's right.
In case people listening didn't know, we do a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Need to advertise this to them.
That's what this is.
People know.
Well, it's always good to just reintroduce ourselves every now and again, because it's very free. We do this on a routine basis, it seems, but for a lot of people out there, it might be their first time, listening to the podcast, and
That's true.
it's easy for us to forget. So yeah. But welcome back.
Thank you.
And welcome back to our fellow podcasters tonight. We've got Darian joining us from afar. Hello there.
Sakura guy, boyos.
And we've got Matt. Hello.
Hey, what up, separatists?
Hey, there he is.
Separatists,
Hanging out with the wrong crowd.
right? Oh, man. How did he know? That was so long ago.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to know which side I was on.
Either that or he's from Montreal. All right. And we got Dan. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Dan, you seem to have upgraded your voice recently. All right, Dan. Well, I don't know where Dan went, but when he's back, we'll hear him, his voice, his soft, soothing voice. Let's kick things off with a bit of an introduction to what Bogan's Advocate is. Blake, you want to maybe try your best and explain exactly what we're doing?
Sure. So the idea is it's a play on the term devil's advocate. So we're going through the 9 Star Wars Skywalker Saga films, and we're trying to look at them from the opposite perspective of how we view that particular film.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, so Bogan's Advocate, we're going to be playing Force Awakens tonight. And, first we'll go around the circle and just kind of explain how we feel about the movie genuinely. And then we'll take on the role of the opposite of how we feel. And then just try and either find the good or the bad things about the movie that we like or dislike, and kind of go from there. So maybe, Matt, maybe kick us off, man. Like, how do you feel about Force Awakens?
Well, it's funny. When we were talking about it last, we said that some of us liked it when it first came out, and then you did not like it, right? And then we're just kind of curious to see how we would like it again if we watch it, like if we won't like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
When it first came out, I guess I was so hyped for it. And as a Star Wars fan, I love everything, and I just want to love it, and I just want to love it so bad. And I really liked it. Now, this This time around, going through it, I just brought up a lot of questions. Right, it's a lot of questions,
Yeah, I can relate to
and
that.
it's a lot of questions. Now, the opening shot's pretty cool. Kylo Ren's big giant ship and going over the moon, and like the small ships coming off of that, and the kind of the whole Normandy like Private Ryan thing with the stormtroopers. Okay, cool. And we're kind of focused on Finn before we know him. Okay, but then we kind of have and then on the I guess is it Jakku? I guess in the beginning,
Jakku, yeah.
Jakku, and then there's like now the directing is great. He's in the tent, and it kind of is resembling the Indiana Jones scene when Marion was kind of taken captive from the Nazis, but it's almost like this weird kind of romantic kind of lighting with Poe and with Lor Santeca, I think is his name.
You got it, yeah.
And I just wanted to like him more, and of course he kind of resembles Alec Guinness a little bit, and he's kind of dressed like a Jedi, even though this is way later. And even Luke Skywalker didn't dress like a Jedi. And then so it just brought up a lot of questions. Like, here's this guy who looks like a Jedi. I feel like he should have had more of a bigger part in that. But I guess after I kind of started looking him up, he was part of like the Church of the Convocation of the Force, which was kind of from the High Republic, which was from they were kind of based out in the system of Jeddah, and I guess it was this planet of pilgrims that were there. And then he comes from that kind of line of people that were like had different religious faiths of Jedi, that they didn't have Jedi powers, but they kind of like just kind of worship them, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of, but and then he helped Luke Skywalker apparently find the temple, I think. But I just wanted to know more about him, and so he kind of goes out like a chump right away off the bat. And
it's worth pointing out that none of this is explained in the film. There's no context.
This was me like looking it up because it just brought up a lot of questions, like why is Rey dressed the way she is, and so why are we resembling like classic Leia giving the plans right to R2? Poe Dameron does that with BB-8. This is not a reboot of episode 4. This is episode 7. So it's kind of like it just brought up a lot of questions. Like, why aren't we progressing the story?
Yeah.
Why are we mimicking so many story points we've already had in the past?
It's ironic because it's called the sequel trilogy, but from the get-go, it doesn't really feel like it's a continuation, right? It's kind of
right.
funny.
I can just imagine all the executive notes that were going in there and trying to make it nostalgic, and all these executive notes more than just the vision of the director, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so you used to like it, and now you're kind of on the other side of the fence, and as part of Bogan's Advocate, you'll be revisiting finding things to like.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I think we got the most loaded opinion out there for you guys. Okay, awesome. I love it. Darian, what about you, man? Where are you coming from?
I was super excited to get more Star Wars, and then I watched the first trailer, and I went into watching the movie with the lowest expectations possible.
Oh, wow.
I was still hopeful it would be a good movie, and in some aspects it is, but overall I hated this movie because it was like, hey, we just kind of redid A New Hope, but we really sold out and really put no effort in the most important ways.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I felt genuinely like kind of empty inside when I walked out of the movie. I was happy to have seen a new Star Wars movie, but I was also really, really mixed feelings inside. I felt like this sense of incompletion, like it was like, okay, I understand.
Sense there was something missing.
Yeah. And for a sequel, it's like, man, this is the next thing. Like this is supposed to follow episode 6. Like, it shouldn't feel like I'm missing anything here. But I don't know. I guess that was very much, planned, sort of. And then not planned. And then planned to try and fix the plan. And then failed.
It was a mess.
Yeah. All right, Dan, where are you coming from on this one?
So when I first saw it, I really enjoyed it. It was new Star Wars. For the most part, I like J.J. Abrams. I really liked what he did with Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I was excited, and I liked it. I rewatched it today, and I started to see what everybody else started seeing. Like, it bothered me like how many like you just get thrust into the middle of the story. There's a lot of things that is brought up that's not explained. Like, you know, instead of the Empire, we have this First Order. Like, where did they come from? How did they like rise to power? And like suddenly, other like the Resistance instead of the Rebellion. Like, there's a lot of changes, but like nothing is really explained. Like, it just felt like a lot of stuff was like you just thrust into the middle of a story, which you kind of were with New Hope. Like, you know, you didn't know about the Jedi and stuff, and they just kind of like had it like all this mystery. But
and you start on the chase, right, of the Tantive 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like, you know, you kind of like it's an artful thing to be thrust into a story, but there's also a sense of almost a lack of story knowledge on purpose, where it feels like, instead of, you know, it's almost being like constructed that way rather than it being coincidental that you're leaping into the middle of a story that's been pre-written.
Yeah, and like you shouldn't have to like, and I'm sure they fleshed out a lot of the other stuff like in the books or like the comics. You know, they fill in like prequel stuff in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, but it's like you shouldn't have to like go looking for like all those answers. Like for some of the like big like if it's like small stuff like side characters and stuff, sure, but when it's like big plot points and stuff, like
yeah, for sure.
Right. When you're meeting new characters for the first time, right? Because like even with A New Hope, we're meeting them all for the first time, and right off the bat we see the bad guy and he's chasing right Leia, and she's getting the plans out, and we meet the droids, and then we meet Luke, and he's a young little teenager and doesn't know anything, and and his character grows. He has a character arc, which Rey unfortunately doesn't really have. And also the first characters we meet too is just not just Poe, but then also when we meet Finn, and then they kind of escape together, and then also Captain Phasma too. Like she's super awesome. She has this chrome. I think the backstory is that she took it off like a Naboo fighter or something. Like, she's like a super awesome stormtrooper, but she can't control her one guy. Right? She's like, put your helmet back on. You know, like, and then we meet Finn, and it's like such a, I don't know, just works so perfectly. Like it's just him, and he helps Poe escape. And for meeting these characters for the first time, and I think that could have been done better, right? The character development there could have been a lot better.
Aren't you supposed to be talking about positive points?
Matt's just like, he wants to just wants to rip into it. He's like, let me at it.
You only watched 20% of the movie.
I know. How do you finish it?
There's a lot to gain, or like a lot of material in that 20%.
Yeah. All right, Blake, where are you coming from on this movie?
Well, when it came out, I definitely liked it, and admittedly, I haven't watched it recently, so it's still my opinion.
Well, you watched it in the time since it came out, right? Like,
yeah, but not like recently.
Was the most recent time before Rise of Skywalker came out?
I don't know. It's possible.
Is it possible that the most recent time you watched it was when we did the commentary tracks?
That's entirely possible.
Because that would have been like 5 years ago.
That might have been the last time I watched it.
Okay. Okay, I think that covers everybody.
It was my favorite of the three. I'll say that.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So are you coming at this movie from a critical point of view or a positive point of view then for Bogan?
Well, technically, I should then be coming from a negative, but I don't know if everyone else is going to be able to hold their tongue.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Well, why don't you stick with that? Okay. Because I'm actually coming at it from a positive angle. So, seeing as my opinions on it are on the more negative leaning side of the fence, I'll be coming at it from a positive angle.
You might want to lead the charge with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Use a solid example.
Okay, Matt, I know for sure is going to be coming at it from a positive angle. And then, so Dan, are you coming at it from a negative angle then?
Yeah, negative.
Okay.
I for the most part, I enjoy the movie.
Okay, cool. And then Darian, is it and then you're coming at it from a positive angle with me and Matt?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay, so we got some.
It's a mix.
It's a mix. Yeah, we got 3 and 2. Okay, so that's good. All right. I'll kick us off. Just because I think I had something in mind. I know by the end of the trilogy, I might be getting ahead of myself here, but by the end of the trilogy, I had a lot more of a respect for the character of Ben Solo. That was something that I really appreciated about the movie. Like, I wasn't always sure about the Kylo Ren, like, kind of copy of Vader, but in recent Star Wars lore, I've been able to, at least with the Acolyte, seeing as we just rewatched that and what we've discovered about how the Stranger is this first Knight of Ren. There's this whole lore now behind the Knights of Ren, and I actually I'm like I don't mind it. Like the whole Ren thing. I'm not too sure about the name. But like the Kylo Ren name didn't really quite stick with me at first, but I like the character, and the name's just kind of sunk into the back of my mind now. I don't really care about it anymore. It's like, it's okay. It's cool. But yeah, the character himself.
When the movie came out, I feel like that was a big sticking point for people.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the character himself. I've always liked Ben Solo as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I like.
I feel like you got to put a huge chunk of that with Adam Driver.
Oh, 100%.
He did such a good job.
100%. I like Adam Driver. Is such a great actor. Yeah, he is.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's my leading point there as far as the things that I really like about the movie.
Where do you stand on the Scar moving?
I think I'll leave that for episode 8.
Okay.
All right. Darian, what about you, man?
This is probably the most beautiful movie in the Star Wars franchise. They really use color theory and lighting to make this a very unique perspective on the franchise. Even some of the cinematography is unmatched by any other movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's great point. What about you, Matt?
We're coming positive.
Yep.
I also agree with that too. Like in the beginning, seeing the Millennium Falcon, like all that garbage, and then seeing the Millennium Falcon was like, yeah. And the lighting, I totally agree with. The lighting is beautiful throughout the whole thing. It's very like Spielberg kind of lighting setups, and that part is gorgeous. And the Millennium Falcon flying around is cool. Now it's they're flying around, kind of doing its little skidding moves. So.
I think I want to add to that a little bit. I think the idea that they went with of Jakku, where there's this big battle, and then you see like the down Star Destroyer and everything. I think that whole concept is just super cool.
Yeah, I love the concept.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to criticize it, but I'll leave it to your own speculation about a second Tatooine. I mean, just throwing it out there.
It could have just been on Tatooine somewhere, but
I love the concept too. I love the idea of like down Star Destroyers and on a planet. It's something obviously that we haven't really seen other than on like Braca, like through Bad Batch and Jedi Fallen Order. The ship demolition planet where they scrap everything.
Right. Yeah, that's more of a scrap.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's not like.
Yeah, exactly. And of course the shipyards in Solo was really cool on Corellia, but yeah, downed ships is in a desert. It's pretty cool imagery.
Yeah,
so.
Ship graveyard.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Carry on.
And I also agree with you. Out of all the characters, I'm okay with Kylo Ren too. Like I think he's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. You got some love for Kylo Ren.
And I feel like they played into it well. There's scenes where he like attacks the console, and then the other two stormtroopers that witness it just like and leave.
So you liked emo Vader scene?
I think that's what they're showing though, is he wants to be Vader, but he doesn't have the temperament or the self-control.
Aren't you supposed to be the negative one for this?
Yeah, but I'm helping people out here. I'm adding to their point.
Fair enough. We do need it.
All right, Dan, let's kick things off with the critiques here, man.
Okay, so having just rewatched it, I noticed like right off the bat, and Finn's transformation from stormtrooper to like suddenly like being against everything was like, it's like a light switch. Like, his buddy gets shot and then he gets a little blood on his helmet, and then he's just suddenly like all his training's out the window, and he's just like the one stormtrooper that changes his mind. Like, it just felt like kind of forced.
Okay.
It does make you wonder if maybe there was something longer that got cut down, because it is pretty jarring. Because it makes you want
like if you saw more backstory with him, like he's forced into being, because he said like on Starkiller or whatever, like he was like with the janitorial. It's like if you saw him being forced into like having to go to battle, and he's like, then it's a little bit more believable.
But it's almost, they're also trained as children. So it's like if you're a child soldier, you grow up in that, and you have no stomach for it whatsoever.
Where do they say that in the movie, or is that something that we just know from like some of the extra literature?
Well, we know from Rebels, right?
Right.
Well, they do say it in this movie. It's Hux and
yeah, okay,
right.
They're having the argument. Maybe we should use a clone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, okay.
It in that context, it does seem very bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know how janitorial staff got put on Kylo Ren's private mission.
Well,
that's like fair, Vader getting sent janitorial staff.
I think the way it's supposed to be taken is because when he was asked about where something is on Starkiller Base, he just replies that he only knows because he worked that janitorial service like there. I don't think it means like
maybe that wasn't his full service.
Yeah, I think it's just like everyone who works in the First Order, maybe at some point in their like rising career, they serve as a certain station, and on different places, and until they get to the point of being like qualified for military purposes, I guess. Right. But I don't know. Yeah, feel free to carry on with that, Darian. Is that what you're gonna say?
No, Finn was supposedly one of the most decorated stormtroopers through training. He was like an expert marksman, and he was elite in most of the different things that they were looking for. And it doesn't, like, you never see any of that. Sorry, I should.
Right. No, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I think like, cause that to me, cause I read that before the Awakening book, and I think it was in that, but I just mean like, when he was like a kid, or when he was like, like 5 years earlier type thing, do you think like, is that at least in your head, or at least in anyone's head here, like, would you assume that a stormtrooper who isn't a clone, who isn't like under rigorous military training all the time, would you assume that those guys would also have served like a different role in the First Order, or because maybe that's what's kind of giving you that that critique there, Dan, because I could totally see it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think about any stormtrooper personally like serving as janitorial service anywhere.
Right.
Like I think of, hey, they've passed training, they went into training, they passed, and now they're in the suit. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
You have the regular people that work on like the space stations and stuff that'll do janitorial and all the other jobs.
Yeah. And also, it's like, where's the droids, man? Like, I thought droids were handling like,
that would make sense.
Janitorial in Star Wars.
Only for informational purposes.
Yeah. Sanitation. Sanitation is what the word is.
Right, that's what it was. Maybe maybe it's more like, because it's more garbage related, right?
I guess so.
Janitorial makes me think they're more like clean bathrooms, but
yeah.
Then another thing that bothered me was like, everybody knew who Luke Skywalker and Han Solo was. Like, the war hero. And I'm like, how many war heroes can you name from World War II?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Churchill?
I'm like, and these are like, it's like a bigger galaxy instead of just on, we live in the places that are like, where war, like, a much smaller, on one planet with continents versus these are like multiple planets, multiple systems. And everybody knows who Luke Skywalker and Han Solo is. Like,
and there's a big time gap too. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. But there's a huge difference in that ideology. Is World War II was 80 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like 30 years ago, I guess. What is that like? I mean, no war, I guess. Okay. What about like I don't know, like most recent one, maybe like big one at least was maybe like Cold War, right?
90s, like Iraq.
Desert Storm, like,
Desert Storm, Iraq.
I mean, those are smaller wars than I guess like saving the the universe from the
that's what I mean.
but...
That's what I mean. It's like the last biggest war was definitely like a while ago, but I mean, I don't know if anyone even back then. I don't know if Captain America. I guess I don't know propaganda people, right? Like that's who people would have known. And
I guess that's the question: were they as heroes propagandized to the rest of the public.
Maybe, but I wonder though if maybe it's just a lack of story narrative from Lucasfilm telling those types of stories about the rebellion, where maybe they're like their propaganda sort of campaign, I think, is much less advertised than the Clone War era propaganda.
Right. Yeah, because the Empire was in such control that they've just been labeled like terrorists.
Yeah, exactly. Basically. Yeah. So it's a great idea. Like I would love them to get into that and like explain some stories about the rebellion and their propaganda like strategies and stuff, which might bring more light to the fact that people know who Luke Skywalker is or who Han Solo is. But that's a great criticism to make, because I it ran through my mind too. It's like, hey, how does everybody know this dude?
You know C-3PO?
Yeah. You know that Wookiee from that Life Day special?
I wish I didn't.
Oh man. Okay, you got anything else, Dan?
Maybe I don't mind the jokes and how like parts of it are funny, because like there's always humor in Star Wars, but it's a little bit too jokey sometimes. Like
compared to the
one
prequels?
joke with
yeah, right, yeah,
not as bad as the prequels, but like but like Han Solo like shooting Chewbacca's weapon, was it the Stratocaster, the bowcaster, like yeah, one time, fine, okay, like, oh wow, this is really powerful, but then he kept going back to that
kept
joke,
it, yeah.
like 3 times. I'm like, okay, we get it. It's like,
yeah, it's a little ham-fisted.
It just felt like, and then like some of the interactions between Poe and Rey and Finn, like it just felt a little bit too much at times, like.
Right.
Like they were just trying too hard.
Yeah.
Even when he was talking to Kylo Ren in the beginning, he's like, "So who talks first?"
Oh yeah,
right.
Do you go first? Do I go first? Like,
yeah, I will say specifically Poe's humor felt very out of Star Wars to me. Like, I think slapstick fits, but his like weird sarcasm was kind of jarring.
Yeah.
All right.
It's worse than the next one though.
Where are you coming? Let's hear from Blake. What do you got?
Seems like we're most talking about the beginning, but I guess something that has always irked me is just the ham-fisted Easter eggs. The worst one for me, I think, is when they're on the Millennium Falcon and he pulls out the training droid. Yeah,
Luke's training remote.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's so many moments where they're just like, "Remember this? I remember."
the hologram chess game, like.
Yeah, and like I didn't mind it the first time I watched it because it was like, oh yeah, it's cool, I remember that. But then after you've seen it once, like, oh, okay, this is a bit much.
Yeah, and the broken Dijarik table.
Yeah, says there's another one.
Like resuming the game that they've never turned on in 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty unlikely.
Because that was intentional. Like I remember reading something about that. Like they tried to continue the Dijarik table's game from when Chewbacca smashed the table.
Oh.
I mean, someone can
it picks up right. And you're right. It picks up right in that move that like where it shut off at continues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I remember thinking to myself, dude, it's been that long since that was used. Like, guess they don't use it very much, Anyway. Okay. Something else I like about it was at least.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So when Finn and Poe crashed in the TIE, did Poe just ditch him? Where did Poe go?
Yeah, it's never explained.
Yeah, that part's never explained. I've always assumed
just left him for dead. And just like,
what if Poe was like, "All right, later, loser," like hits an eject button, shoots out with a parachute, Finn's in there like, "What? Where'd you go, man?"
Well, because the TIE fighter gets sucked into the sand, and you assume that his body is inside that, but then like, like he just shows up like.
I heard a rumor.
Wasn't he supposed to be dead?
I heard a rumor that was the plan, and then they changed it even after they filmed the footage, and then didn't cut out the scene where the TIE fighter sinks. That's what I thought, but I mean that could be total hokum. But that's what I remember like hearing back then. from like
someone's gonna ask
from no reliable sources. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, just online.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, probably Mike Zero.
And on Jakku, things just sink like that. They just get sucked into the desert.
I think it was just like a quicksand thing. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, that is a good question.
You need water.
The rest of the ships,
Sam.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, the sequel trilogy loves quicksand. That's like the second time that they did quicksand because they did it in episode 9 too.
Yeah, which is another J.J. Abrams movie.
Right. Right. Yeah, of course.
He likes quicksand.
Yeah. He likes Indiana Jones.
So according to the novel, they wrote that he was thrown from the ship, the TIE fighter, and basically he had a concussion, so he kind of like tumbled down the sand and like took a bit to recover.
Man, his
jacket fell off?
Like he said his jacket got caught. Let's see. Came around long enough to see that you had gotten out, pulled out the drive just long enough to set down hard, impact threw me clear, woke up at night, no you, no ship, no nothing.
Doesn't he say that at the Resistance space?
Yeah, when they finally meet again. Because that's when they meet again. Is on like Dakar or whatever that planet is.
That's right. Yeah.
Something I liked about the movie. Oh, and I just lost it. Hold on. Before I'm trying to remember it now, but before we move on, did you have any other points you wanted to bring up?
I thought we're going to go around again.
Yeah. We'll make the rounds.
I said one. You want me to do 2?
Yeah, you want to do? Yeah, Dan did like 2 or 3. So you want to spitball another 2 or 3?
Let's see.
There's only 2 of you guys doing the critiquing,
right, yeah,
so
I see
I'm trying to get multiple from you guys.
Right.
No pressure.
I guess I kind of feel like the main characters were almost a little bit too jovial.
Okay.
Didn't it seem like they were always like kind of high energy, like all the time?
Yeah, is it the way that the script comes off?
It's like they're always in a panic or they're always excited.
Yeah.
Like, because that ties into actually one of my like bigger complaints.
Do you think it's just a way of direction?
And this is unfortunately like majority of modern movies, but all 3 of these movies fall in that category.
Yeah.
The pacing is way too fast.
Yeah.
Movies need to slow down.
I totally get it. Yeah. You got another one?
That's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it is a big one. I mean, like, I get that feeling through the whole thing other than when Harrison Ford's talking. Next thing. Yeah.
That's right. So when Harrison Ford talks.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to my thing that I actually liked about, and my next thing I liked about the movie was there's a moment that, speaking of nostalgia and like kind of Easter eggs and stuff like that, there was a moment in the movie where he says like, what do you?
It's true. All of it.
True.
Yeah.
That line?
It's true.
Yeah.
All of it. The Force, the Jedi, it's all real. Like he says, he's like,
I got the princess. It's all true.
Yep. And then, I don't know, just like, I think that was the first time in the whole movie that I was just like nodding my head, smiling, going like, wow, like this is like a character moment, like he's really grown as a character. He's witnessed so much stuff.
Right.
And he said it in such
a... He got it all and he lost it.
And he said it in such a genuine way that I was like, I believe 100% of this moment, like all of it. And that was something I really liked about the movie. That was something that I thought, wow, that's a cool moment to slip in, especially with a new character who has never seen anything like the Force being used or the Jedi or Luke Skywalker, or any of these legends that he may have heard. Like, I thought that was a really cool moment. So that's something I really liked.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was all mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, shortly after that, we get the squid monsters.
Right. Yeah, the Rathtar. All right, Darian, let's keep it rolling here with the love. With Darian, what do you got?
The actress Daisy Ridley, who played Rey, did an amazing job. She really gave legs to something that could have been played extremely flat.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, she was good. She was very good. I've always liked her character. I've never overly strong about some of the choices they made later about her character, but like, you know, I always thought that she was a pretty great character, just as a written character goes, you know.
I feel like this movie started off with pretty strong in regards to that, and just maybe got a little lost in the directorial madness.
Right.
Oh, definitely. This is where you get to see the most flavor from her in this trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Pat, what about you, man?
They're all good actors. They're all really good performers. So that's where it's kind of in question. But I think that's why we like Kylo Ren too, is because even looking at the big picture of all three, but even in this one, he has a character arc. Like, Kylo Ren is growing.
Yeah.
And then also Finn, I thought it was kind of funny too. Finn, he refers to Han Solo as Solo. That's that. Like Solo, like he calls him Solo, like kind of like referencing the movie Solo. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
He referenced his own what? Sorry, say that again.
Finn calls him Mr. He calls him Solo, and then he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Mr. Solo." I mean Han.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
This little strange.
Solo. It was kind of strange. Like that was like an executive note, you know, to don't forget to mention our new movie Solo coming out. Yeah.
Oh right.
I think that's what it is. It could just be like another Easter egg callback because that's what the generals all call them.
Yeah. Sure.
Like Empire and stuff. Empire Strikes Back.
Wait a minute. Are you saying because you're on the you're giving love, right? Is that something you liked?
I'm just like, I liked it.
You're backsliding.
He's sliding back.
I'm just kidding. Just like this movie.
Bogan's advocate.
Bogan's Matt's just taking shots where he can.
Trying to squeeze him in.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but you know what? We have Rise of the Resistance, and Attraction is awesome.
There was some very good soundtracks.
Yeah, it was a good John Williams, you know, back again. Mm-hmm. So, you know, great. And he came up with a pretty iconic track or two. You know, he came up with a really great theme for Kylo Ren. He came up with a really great theme for Rey.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you know,
like
the rest,
one of the ending when they go up the steps.
Yeah. And he came up, well, and that was a great song too, but yeah, I came up with some good themes there. And, you know, yeah, that was cool.
Character themes.
Yeah. Dan, do you got anything else?
Yeah, the biggest issue was Starkiller Base. Like,
yeah,
another Death Star, but way bigger. Like, it's literally a planet that blows up other planets.
Somehow, the Death Star returned.
And they kind of destroy it the same way. Like, you know, you got to fly in and shoot. And you're going there's a trench run. Yeah, it's like, I'm like, you could have come up with anything. Like, even in the comics and the books, like, you know, there's other planet destroyers that's not literally just looks like the Death Star.
Yeah, and I will say the concept of what they had where it could destroy planets, like, because it shoots through hyperspace is how it works. But it could destroy planets simultaneously. But I feel like the way they edited it, or they just didn't get the effect out very well, so it just looks like it shoots the planet that's like in the same solar system. But it's supposed to be like several systems over.
Yeah.
And how do you even target? Like they shot from so far away. Like, how did they like aim?
I don't know.
It also
those multiple blasts at multiple planets.
Yeah, because it's going across like space, right? Like,
and it drains the sun to power it, so you really only get one shot. And then what happens?
This planet has one sun.
Yeah, exactly. Something's just gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just gonna freeze
like
over.
The weapon is the weapon is, unless it can like draw energy from suns like solar systems away. But I just, for some reason, even though it's a completely fictional fantasy movie, for some reason I just don't buy that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, like everyone's got their fictional boundaries, and it's like, you know what? That's mine.
This is absurd.
Yeah.
This is actually pried open a few things that I remember had irked me, actually. The other thing was the planet they they blow up, like Hyperion Prime or something, right? Some Prime.
Yes, it was like, yeah. What was it again?
Something like that. But what irked me about it is, unlike the previous movies, the planet they blew up had basically no emotional connection to it, and it was supposed to be like a huge deal because they blew up what was essentially Coruscant, but nobody knew that because they didn't explain it, and you have no relationship to it at all.
Hosnian Prime.
Hosnian Prime.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it would have been more interesting if they just blew up Coruscant. That would have been a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
instead they had to change the entire political system so that it like rotates, like which planet is the capital.
I feel like
they just blew up a random planet and said it was the capital.
I feel like it could have been a really well worked in plot line for perhaps episode 8 if episode 7 set up the.
That would have been better. Yeah, if it was like the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if episode 7 spent some time back on Coruscant again, I thought that would have been a really cool idea. But yeah, the whole sequel trilogy really takes place kind of in the. Maybe Darian remembers the name. There's like an area of space in which like most of it kind of happens, and I forget. I don't know if it's the Outer Rim or if it's like the I don't know. Do you remember?
There's the Inner Rim, the Outer Rim, Wild Space. Forgetting them. The core is where Coruscant and all that is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's also the like expansion region, and I totally forget exactly like which general area the whole trilogy takes place in, but there's like an area that, of course, we're seeing kind of new planets and stuff pop up in, and planets popping up in regions that we're familiar with. But yeah, generally speaking, I thought it was like, I think it was kind of aimed at around a place that we just hadn't
so
seen
the
much.
region's called So there's the deep core, there's the core worlds, the colonies, the inner rim, expansion region, the mid rim, the outer rim territories, and the unknown regions.
Okay. Yeah. So which area does the sequel trilogy mostly take place in? I think it's like outer rim and unknown regions, maybe.
I think it's the outer rim mostly. I never looked this up, to be honest.
Okay.
I've only watched these movies like twice.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, hold on. Let me just look it up right now. Yeah, okay. So mostly outer rim, Jakku, Dakar, Acto, and then outer unknown regions is Exegol, and then it says limited core worlds, mostly Hosnian Prime, which is we only see when it gets blown up.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. And then yeah. That makes sense. So yeah, mostly outer rim worlds, which, you know, in a lot of the other films we haven't seen too many of those. So yeah, always cool to see new places. But
that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, Darian, what
Where
else
was
you got or Matt, Darian or Matt? Like, you got anything you want to
some positive
notes? We'll wrap it up here.
I liked the humor in this other than Poe and Solo's humor. I thought they actually did better in the humor in this than they did in the prequels.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. How about you, Matt? Any last praise?
Sure. Even though, like, we were talking about like the whole third act, a lot of issues that were there, still, like, Kylo Ren fighting Rey, that was cool.
It was cool. And the planet, because it was, as the planet was blowing up, they were like fighting across as like earthquakes and everything's shredding.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that was pretty cool too. And a snow planet.
Yeah, the
I like snow planets.
Yeah, like the whole environment for the fight, as well as the weather and everything. It was just new conditions that we'd never seen a lightsaber.
Trust in the Force. Trust in the Force.
Yeah, they made a big deal
lightsaber
about
in the snow.
Yeah, they made a big deal about that, and I was like, with all like the toys and the marketing and the statues and everything you could get, and so I appreciated that whole thing. I thought that was really cool. And
they got back to the proper colors for a duel, red and blue. All of the colors are wrong.
Right. Not to mention.
Go
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
the visual effects really hold up too. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
still looks really good.
Yeah, it still looks awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff. All right. Any last critiques?
I guess I got two. One that we'll play off while we're talking about is they cut out that really cool shot from
the trailer.
Yeah, from the trailer when Kylo Ren ignites his crossguard saber in front of the snow.
Yeah,
that was such a cool shot.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that was sick. Yeah.
It was good, and it wasn't in the trailer. I remember that because it was my favorite shot of the trailer.
Yeah, I remember because we talked about it a lot because it's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other thing, because it has to be mentioned, is I'm not a fan of the whole thing leading up to finding Luke Skywalker, and then as soon as you find him, it just ends.
The whole plot? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
It felt a little lackluster.
And also, can I add one thing?
Yep.
And I know I'm supposed to be positive, but I would have loved to have seen Han, Chewie, Leia, and Luke all in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon at least one last time before she passed away. And
that would have been
awesome.
That was a massively missed opportunity.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity. Yeah.
That was one thing that got me rewatching it today. The scene where Carrie Fisher is like, she goes up to Rey and gives her a hug, like, because she's like telling her, like, I know that, Han Solo's died, and like it got a little emotional, knowing that she's no longer with us, and it was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Chewbacca just like walks on by.
Well, to be fair, she didn't give him a medal.
Yeah. That medal.
No, I feel you there, Dan. Like, it's something I really that was something that that I liked about just all three of these films, like that they had some special connection there, between Leia and Rey. That was really nice that they put that in. Any last critiques from you, Dan?
No, I think I would.
Any zingers?
Everything, like, besides like all this, like, I enjoyed the movie. It was pretty. I was just happy to see everybody back. But like, as far as like critiques, like, I think that covers the main things that bothered me.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
What about you, Josh? Any last positive notes?
Yeah, any last positive notes from me? No. No, I'm kidding. I mean, there's more I could say. I mean, like, it's objectively, here's the thing. Like, objectively, it's a good movie. But is it a great Star Wars movie? Is it a great sequel? Right. Is it a great continuation, which is what I think we were all expecting, right? And
I do have one more critique.
Yeah, go for it,
Dan. Having been a huge fan of Zahn's Heir of the Empire, like, that's the sequel I really wanted.
That would have been so cool.
And then this coming back and just like completely erasing all of that, like, you get some great characters like Mara Jade, and like that's just completely gone. I was kind of bummed about that. And I'm like, this is what you replaced it with? Like another Death Star? Like,
and the twins, right? And then eventually them learning and going into the academy and all that stuff.
like no more twins. Like, now you just have this, like, I like Kylo Ren, but like I also miss the twins and like that whole.
That's why
that was a much happier.
I thought Rey was going to be revealed as the twin.
Yeah, me too.
So they could have still done it, but they decided not to.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been better than her being a Palpatine.
Spoiler.
Yes.
We haven't got to that one yet.
100%. She's a Palpatine? What?
Oh, man. Yeah, but thank you guys for that. And, why don't we transition over here to our quick next segment, and then we'll slowly wrap things up.
On the money. Like you. Mind trick, stop. I don't like you either.
Nice. All right. Can never get too much of the cantina.
No, man, it's always a crazy town in here.
That's right.
You always get a free show.
So, we're flipping through Vader's diary.
Oh, right.
And why don't you what is this? What is this thing?
Ooh.
Well,
I'm excited for this.
Matt, do you want to explain what it is?
It's you guys. It's just you guys taking Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And putting them into a scenario.
Well, it's a little more than that.
Oh yeah, Matt.
We're reading from the Lost Diary of Darth Vader.
Oh, the Lost Diary.
Yeah, the Lost Teenage
Yes, the
Diary.
Lost Diary.
of Darth
This is
Vader.
real lore.
Believe it or not, I just found
Yes.
this at the public library.
It's just you can just buy yourself a copy.
Amazing.
I thought this was
It's kind of
original.
burnt up a little bit.
Been publicized by
Every page has been signed by Anakin Skywalker himself.
yeah, publishers called Poodoo
It's
Pages.
amazing.
I don't know. Somehow he also put on lipstick and kissed every page.
Sure, that's not Padme's lipstick.
I hope not.
Wow.
All right. So this chapter that we found, it's called Roots of Madness. Can anyone take a guess at what this one might be about?
Oh no.
All right, this one, the setting, the Jedi Archives. Obi-Wan is hunched over a holotable displaying botanical charts of the mid-rim. Anakin is leaning against a pillar, spinning his lightsaber hilt like a bored teenager. Obi-Wan, eyes narrowed at the 3D image of a glowing moss plant on a screen. It explains everything, Anakin. The green hue, the eccentric speech patterns, the way he seems to thrive in humidity. I've reached a conclusion. Master Yoda did not have a mother. He simply sprouted. Sprouted? You think the Grand Master of the Jedi Order is a glorified garden vegetable? Not a vegetable. A sentient high-order jungle fungus. Think about it. He spent decades on Dagobah. Most people would succumb to the damp, but Yoda? Looks like he was at the spa. He was recharging, Anakin. He's a fungal entity that popped out of a great tree on the lost world of time. He isn't walking, he's just spreading spores of wisdom. Master, with all due respect, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And I've heard your lecture on the ethics of negotiating with space slugs. It makes sense. Why else would he be that color? Why is he so small? He's a decorative shrub. Gained the ability to use a lightsaber. He probably needs light misting twice a day. Well, I mean, to stay in peak fighting form, of course. He's not a mushroom, Obi-Wan. He's just a man. He's a very, very old, very ugly man who stumbled onto something he wasn't supposed to. A man? He has 3 toes and ears that can't catch a breeze from 3 systems away. I think he was a human merchant, probably a grumpy one, who found an ancient Sith elixir of life. He drank the whole thing and it turned him green, shrunk him down to the size of a kitchen droid, and now he's stuck like that. He's not wise. He's just lived through every fashion disaster in the last 9 centuries and he's bitter about it. An elixir. Anakin, this isn't a bedtime story from the Outer Rim. Think about it. Why doesn't he just hide his past? Why is there no record of his species? Because there is no species. It's just him. He's a biological glitch. Him and Yaddle. He found the fountain of youth. Now it's past its expiration date, and now he's shriveled, emerald-colored immortal who likes to hit people with sticks. The stick is a badge of office, Anakin. The stick is because his knees have been creaking since the High Republic. He's not a fungus. He's a chemistry accident. He's a warning against drinking mysterious liquids you find in ancient temples. I refuse to believe he's a chemistry accident. Look at this chart. The species of bioluminescent mold from the expansion region shares a 12% visual similarity with his left ear. 12%? My starfighter shares a 12% similarity with a toaster, but you don't see me trying to put bread in the cockpit. He's a man, Obi-Wan, A small, shrunken, terrifyingly powerful man who probably hasn't seen a mirror in 400 years. If he were a man, he'd have a midlife crisis. He'd buy a flashy speeder. Yoda just sits on the floating chair, talks about the living force all day long. You know what else is living? Mold. If he were a mold, he'd be bothered by soap. I saw him wash his hands once, Obi-Wan. He didn't dissolve. He didn't turn into a puddle of slime either. That's because he's a superior fungus, Anakin. He's evolved. He's just a guy who drank a weird juice. Enjoying the research, are we? A fungus I am, Or perhaps a weird juice I drink, Oh, Master Yoda, we were just discussing the biodiversity of the galaxy. Anakin points at Obi-Wan. He thinks you're a mushroom. And you? Think I'm man, am I? Generous, that is. Looking for a mirror, I have been. Find one, did you? Well, we'll be going now. Spore, I am not. Accident, you are. There we are. And scene.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm still always amazed that Anakin took time to write all of this down.
I know. I can't believe it.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
And he missed out on the joke saying that he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know. Crazy.
Oh, man.
So Obi-Wan thinks he's a Warhammer 40k orc. Interesting.
It seems so.
This is George Lucas's crossover.
Oh, man. Trying to do all this with a dry throat tonight.
Well,
well done.
Just made your Yoda impression even better.
Yeah, well done. That was the best Yoda you've done so far.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right.
What do you think? Juice or fungal? Do you have a third theory?
Juice or fungus? I'm kind of leaning on the juice. No, I mean, I've always thought Yoda, like, I feel like his species, wherever they come from, I feel like they are the kind of people that just pop out of a tree,
I thought they were wiped out.
They were more likely wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right,
if you're
cool.
an infant for several hundred years.
That's true. All right, we got a little piece of news here, and then we're going to wrap things up. Okay. So, do you guys like Disney parks?
Yeah, I like Disney parks.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Disneyland After Dark, Star Wars Night is returning this year in 2026. It's back. Yeah. Matt, have you ever been to Star Wars Nights?
No, but I heard about it locally around here.
Okay, Dan, you Star Wars Nights?
Not.
No, Darian?
They used to do Star Wars
I've
weekends.
heard of it.
You've heard of it. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Yeah, I feel like it's like, it's kind of people, some people know about it. I don't know how popular it is, but yeah.
Was it 1 in 5?
Yeah, who knows? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. All right, so they're inviting everybody back to experience in an all new way, set for the evenings of April 28th, 30th, May 4th, of course, and May 6th. The celebration is a special ticketed event for all Star Wars fans, stretching from 9 to 1 a.m. at Disneyland Park. So if you've never been to Disneyland up until 1 in the morning, you can with Star Wars Nights. Ticket holders can kickstart their adventure at 6 p.m. each night in Disneyland. No theme park reservation required, so it's probably a separate ticket. Price is starting at $174 per guest, ages 3 and up. There's so many things you can do. Learn the ways of the Jedi, participate in a lightsaber instructional demonstration. Wow, hopefully those aren't real. Can you imagine how many people are going to be cutting off their leg? Be on the lookout for the March of the First Order, led by Captain Phasma and her First Order stormtroopers as they search for the Resistance spies in Tomorrowland. Come in your best Star Wars-inspired look and march down Main Street, USA, with the costume showcase. Try the new culinary treats like pizza. That's not original. What the heck? Okay, well, there's new stuff at Oga's Cantina, including a 5 blossom bread. But it's basically pizza. Okay. There's cake at Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe and Galactic Grill. Banff Gogi, whatever the heck that is, and Edelweiss Snacks, Morris's Street. Okay, these are all Disneyland foodie places.
Star Wars
so,
themed
you know,
things.
yeah, Star Wars themed things at Disney restaurants. That's the only thing you need to care about. Encounter beloved characters like Boba Fett, Palpatine, Maul, Fennec Shand.
Palpatine like a hug at Disneyland.
Yeah, man, that would be crazy.
Right? Oh my
Like hugging a child. All right, Queen Amidala, R2D2, 3PO, Harrison Dula, Chopper, The Mandalorian, Grogu, Jawas, and Ewoks. You can shop for Star Wars Night merch, including event-exclusive sweaters, hats, shirts, and cups. And, man, the list goes on. So get your tickets now for Star Wars Nights at Disneyland After Dark. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say they missed out. They should have called it like Disney Star Wars Jedi Nights.
Yes.
How
Yes.
did they miss that?
Yes.
How did they?
Yes,
how
Jedi
did they
Knights.
miss that?
I know, it's so obvious.
Because night is even spelt wrong. It's like N-I-T-E.
That'd be the pun if it was Jedi Nights.
Yeah, it would have been way better. Yeah.
TNI.
Man, I'm not going just because of that.
Come
Out of spite.
I'm totally kidding. I'm just not going because I live way too far away. But it looks
I'm
fun.
not going because I can have pizza at home.
I'm going to celebrate Star Wars Nights in my house.
That's right.
Do my own thing. Watch the movies.
Well, I get my own pizza.
All right. Cool. 2 weeks from now, as the time of the episode dropping, we will have Maul Shadow Lord kicking on Disney Plus with the premiere. And everyone's looking forward to that and the after show thereafter that we're going to be doing. So, yeah, we got a few things to look forward to coming down the pipe, including a book review for Master of Evil and the remaining 2 Bogans advocates in our Skywalker Saga. So, yeah, thank you to Darian, thank you to Matt, and thank you to Dan, and of course our lovely co-host Blake. You've all been amazing, and thank you for coming back.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
I have spoken.
All right. Thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. We always appreciate any comments that you might leave behind on our YouTube video versions or even on Spotify or Podbean or whatever podcast platform you're tuning in. We only really see the ones that come through on Spotify and YouTube, but you're always welcome to send us an email, swescapepodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our website at www.starwarspodcast.ca, and any other relevant links will be in the description box below. Go and check out the Disney Orbit Key collection because that's super fun. They keep bringing out more stuff, so go check it out. All right, we'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you.